There's a meme going around that says, effectively, if buying doesn't count as true ownership, then piracy shouldn't be considered theft. And when I first saw it, my reaction wasn't, ooh, that's a hot take. It was more like, yeah, that sort of tracks. Because this isn't really about piracy. It's about what's happened quietly to the word buy. When I buy a hammer, I own the hammer. When I buy a book, I own the book. I can lend it, resell it, keep it forever, or put it on the shelf and forget about it. But when I buy a movie, an ebook, or a game today, what I'm actually buying is permission. Temporary, revocable permission. And this isn't theoretical. There are plenty of people who have bought movies on Amazon or Apple TV only to log in one day and find that the title is gone. Not hidden, not unavailable for download, just removed because the licensing deal changed. They didn't get a refund, they didn't violate terms, they just stopped having access to the thing they paid for. And we're still supposed to call that ownership? Now, companies are very precise about this when it benefits them. They'll tell you very clearly that you don't actually own the content. You own a license, the license they control under terms they can change at any time. But the moment someone copies that same content, the language shifts. Now it's theft. Now it's treated like stealing a physical object. Now it's a moral failure, not just a terms of service issue. That framing is doing a lot of emotional work, because theft implies that something was taken away. Digital copying doesn't work like that. What's actually being violated is copyright, a legal framework, not physical property. Now look, I'm not saying creators don't deserve to be paid. Of course they do. But let's be honest about who designed this system. It wasn't artists who decided you can't resell what you bought, you can't make independent backups, you can lose access years later, and you're permanently dependent on accounts, servers, and DRM. That was platforms. That was publishers. That was corporations optimizing for control. So when people share that meme, they're not saying piracy is good. They're saying you don't get to demand moral outrage from users while refusing to give them real ownership. You can't have it both ways. If I don't own it, don't call it buying. If it can be taken away, don't act shocked when people start questioning the rules. And if access is conditional, then the moral argument needs to be a lot more honest. This whole debate would cool down overnight if companies just used accurate language. Call it a license, call it access, call it a long-term rental. Just stop pretending it's ownership and then acting surprised when people notice. I also wanted to take a second to thank everyone that I now have 800 subscribers, which is just fantastic. So I appreciate y'all, and I hope this was interesting for somebody. Thanks. So that's another video in the can. If you found this informative or interesting, please consider liking and subscribing down below. And remember, be excellent to each other.